Hello everyone! Once upon a time, the three dwarven clans, Bronzebeard, Wildhammer and Dark Iron, all lived together in the mountains of Ahn'Qiraj until 230 years before the Dark Portal opened up. Their High King, Modimus Anvilmar, passed away from old age, and civil war broke out before his eldest son could be crowned. The Bronzebeards, led by Modimus Bronzebeard, was the largest and held the bulk of Ahn'Qiраж's military. They would win this war, kick the other two clans out. The Wildhammers would set up within Grim Battle, the Dark Irons moved to Red Ridge Mountains and set up the new kingdom of Xal'Atath. While all clans were doing alright, the Dark Irons could not swallow their defeat, went on the attack once more. They would be defeated by the unification of Bronzebeard and Wildhammer, but not before Modimus used Xal'Atath within Grim Battle, unleashing darkness which made the place uninhabitable, the one stuck inside devolving into Skardin. Modimus was slain, the grief and rage affecting Emperor Xal'Atath's spellwork, accidentally summoning Ragnarok into Azeroth, creating the Blackrock Mountain, enslaving the Dark Irons to the Fire Lords. Seeing how the Wildhammers could not return to Grim Battle, they were offered a spot within Ahn'Qiraj, but they preferred to set up base within the hinterlands, forge a brand new future for themselves. And so, the Bronzebeard line carried on, until we would see three badass brothers that you're most familiar with.
We Bronzebeards are known across the whole of Azeroth. My eldest brother Magni was king of Ironforge, wise and fair a ruler as ever been. And Bran, well, he's a renowned explorer, always finding secrets, being written about in Explorers League Geographic. With brothers like that, I'd feel a wee bit overshadowed. If I didn't kick so much ass!
Bran is the youngest and the explorer. No Titan Vault is safe from his adventurous spirits. Myrddin is the middle child, trained Arthas, became king of the Frostborn and Northrend, eventually member of the Council of Three Hammers. And then Magni Bronzebeard, king of Ahn'Qiraj, forger of the Ashbringer, and would eventually become the speaker of Azeroth. Before that, our Magni ruled under the mountain with his family, his wife Ahn'Qiraj and their daughter Moira. Ahn'Qiraj died to a Frostmane troll attack, leaving Magni to raise Moira all by himself. All these years, he spent forcing her to be something that she's not, training her to be hard out of fear of losing her as well, out of fear of the unknown, and whenever the king couldn't control something, he either gave up or he made it worse. Their family bond was not exactly great, as to Moira, it seemed like she was never good enough, that her father would have preferred it if she'd been a son instead of a daughter. He never gave her an ounce of respect or recognition. So when she was kidnapped by the Dark Irons, still living within the Blackrock Mountain, and their leader, also called Xal'Atath, did give her that respect and a listening ear, Moira fell in love with Dagran, and got pregnant with the heir of not only the throne of Ahn'Qiraj and the Bronzebeards, but the Dark Irons as well. In the meantime, Magni recruited heroes to go into the Blackrock depths and save his daughter, giving the order to kill her husband, the father of Dagran. Not exactly healthy for their relationship either. So Moira went to work on moving pieces around to clear out the mountain, liberate the Dark Irons out of Ragnarok's control, and make ready to claim Ahn'Qiraj. In her favor was the Cataclysm. Before the world was rocked by Deathwing, signs were showing up. Elements were out of control, earthquakes were burying dwarves in their very homes. They needed to figure out what was going on with the world, so Magni went through an ancient Titan ritual, which was supposed to allow him to communicate with the world. Instead, it made him one with it, encasing his body within a massive crystal, leaving Ahn'Qiraj without their king. Just the opportunity Moira needed to come home, placing the city under lockdown and reclaiming the throne. Just one tiny little problem. Anduin Wrynn was visiting the city during this time, and his father Varian was not exactly happy with his child under lockdown, let alone the long close history with Magni and the dwarves. The king, with SI7, quickly infiltrated Ahn'Qiraj, pulled the wannabe queen out of her bed, but this wasn't the way either, Anduin explains. Her way of going about it might have been wrong, but Moira did have a legit claim. Taking her out would just cause more death and fighting amongst the clans, so instead, they decided to go for the Council of Three Hammers, each clan represented, each clan to have a voice. Moira for the Dark Irons, Myrddin for the Bronzebeards, and Falstad for the Wildhammers. At first, Moira was a little bit manipulative, but eventually she would lead the way, showing how they could trust one another. And so, what was once fractured with the War of Three Hammers, it was now brought back together. And mayhaps her son, Dagran Faurusant II, mayhaps will rule all of Ironforge when he comes of age. Legion then rolls around, and Magni is released by Azeroth. Different than he was before, the King of Diamonds can hear Azeroth's voice, was aware of what went on around him while crystallized. At first, there's concern about the leadership of Ironforge, the leadership of the dwarves, but the King of Diamonds did not wake up to take over.
Thank you for seeing me off, lass. Didn't think you'd agree to it.
You are my father, and the ruler.
Must keep up appearances. That's why you visited me in old Ironforge, eh?
You heard me?
And I couldn't be prouder of what you've become. I failed you as a father before, and I'll never forgive myself for that. And I'm not asking you to forgive me either. But if even stone can come to life, if even 3 rival clans can live under one roof, then maybe we can be a family again. That is, if you'll give me another chance. Think it over, lass. I don't expect an answer now. Just know that wherever this journey takes me, I'll be watching you through the stones.
He is here to help us defend against the biggest Legion invasion as of yet. A massive threat to Azeroth and that slumbering spirit inside. We gave it our all. We even traveled to Argus and brought back the Titans. But Sargeras was still able to stab the world. She is going to die if we don't do something. So we listened to Magni's words. We healed the wounds, cleansing Azeroth of its old god infection. The day might have been saved, everybody happy, and we left Magni in the Chamber of Hearts as we focused on the next threat, being the Shadowlands. But the Bronzebeard legacy does not end here, and this is the part of the video where we are going to go into the War Within spoilers, and some pretty big ones as well. So if you don't want any of these spoilers, please turn off the video right now. Turns out that there's now a bit of a rift between Magni and Azeroth. At first, I thought that we had just abandoned him here, and everybody just slowly left the Chamber of Hearts, leaving this old, poor King of Diamonds all by himself, but that's not the case. He has left the chamber. He's even gone through a whole road trip with his brothers in exploring Northrend. He's gone to the wedding of Lorthmar Philistra. He has been active and he has been living, but at the same time, he is not happy with how things turned out. He hasn't spoken with Azeroth for years now. Last recorded time that I could find was hearing her screams of agony when the jailer attacked her soul. Screams that nearly split his head in two. But we saved her, and she's been healing ever since. It's like she started to sing a new song, a melody of hope and healing, and it feels as though a new age is dawning. That's always how he described communicating with her, in songs and in feelings, but that stopped, apparently. At first, he just didn't feel the need. Then he realized that he started to resent her for leaving him like this. After all that he had given, now he's unable to feel the warmth of his kin's embrace. What is his purpose? What is his role now? And the speaker isn't even sure if he can still communicate with her. The stakes are high though, and for us he gives it a try. He can hear her voice. He can see it. See where we have to go. It is called... And then, for some reason, she overwhelms him, and Magni's knocked out, brought over to Dalaran to hopefully recover. At his side sits Moira, and the rift that he had hoped to heal, it still stands firmly between them. Walls of anger and resentment, neither were able to break through, and now, maybe they never will. But there's still his grandson to consider. He might have been a shit father to her, but he could still be an amazing grandfather to Dagran, who never got to spend a whole lot of time with him. Then something happens, a not fully described pre-event with the aftermath that's clear. Dalaran has crashed, but the Bronzebeard survived. Apparently, Magni did spend enough time with Dalaran to teach him Stoneform. And while tumbling, the speaker dropped his Fear Breaker, which has tumbled down, all the way down into the Ringing Deeps. We'll get to that artifact in just a moment. Now, after picking ourselves back up and repairing the coreway, we get to follow that hammer and find out all about the broken machines that were supposed to keep the Earthen operations running, but they're supposedly damaged with the Sundering, and now their vault for memory storage is offline. Their awakening machine is no longer bestowing them with life force that was supposed to keep them going for thousands of years. Their High Speaker has also allied himself with Xal'atath, who was promised that she would repair their awakening machine with her artifacts, which I assume means the Dark Hearts. It will be perfect, she promised. Your struggle, your suffering will be at an end. All will be awakened because of you. Cuts do not record. Is there a price that you wouldn't pay? Your people will be restored, reborn, improved, and they will laud you as their savior. Yes, all Irvin will awaken, even if it means awakening Iscardin. We try to put a stop to the operations. Now the conclusion that's kept within an in-game cinematic movie, which is not shown yet, but it does have a description. Magni sacrifices his infused crystalline energies to cleanse the void corruption of the Irvin within the awakening chamber. In the aftermath, he appears as a lifeless statue. Moments later, the shell breaks. We see he is restored to a being of flesh and bone. Reunited with his daughter and grandson, he greets the first Irvin to awaken from the machine. Dear old granddad still had a purpose, it seems. His crystalline form used to save the Irvin. And now he can feel the touch of his kin, restored the way that he was before going through the ritual just before the cataclysm. Now I imagine that he's going to spend a whole lot of time with his daughter and grandson. The future of their two clans embodied within one studious boy. I'm curious if the death of his father is still something that Dagran has to deal with. I imagine that that's not something you just keep hidden, but then again, it could be an avenue for some drama between grandson and grandfather. That does still leave Fearbreaker to be picked up, and Fearbreaker has quite a history amongst the Bronzebeards and beyond. It's been in their family for several hundred years, handed down through the Bronzebeard line, having seen battles in Outland and Azeroth. It's known the taste of blood, and in certain hands, it's also been known to staunch the blood, so a bit of light, a bit of healing power in the weapon. It also has a bit of a will of its own. It won't serve just anyone. But when Magni decided to gift it to Anduin just before he went through that Titan ritual, the weapon responded positively. If everything was meant for someone, that weapon was meant for the human prince, but Anduin himself wasn't so sure. Maybe he was only supposed to hold on to it for a short time, as he decides to then give it to Bane Bloodhoof, who was in the midst of dealing with his father's death and Magatha taking over Thunderbluff. The weapon glowed in the Tauren's grip, and in ways that Anduin didn't quite understand. Perhaps he never would. The weapon had chosen Bane, just as it had chosen him. The light, or in the case of the Tauren, who see the light in their own way with the sun and the moon, Anshi and Musha, it bestowed peace upon Bane. An honor from Anduin and Magni that he would treasure as he used it to bash the shit out of Magatha and kick her out of his city. He also wielded it to protect Garrosh from a bunch of Quailboar. But when Warchief Hellscream set his sights on Faramir, Bane knew that he could not hold on to the weapon in good faith. The gift was returned, a clear message that, while Bane might not be happy with it, he would not betray the Horde or step away from Garrosh, as they prepared to go to war. Little did he know how far his Warchief was willing to go, the bombing of Faramir that was on the horizon, but that's neither here nor there. With Fearbreaker returned to Anduin, he in turn was able to give it back to Magni in his crystalline form. And now, with Dalaran crashing, he lost his grip. Not surprising, as he hasn't been fully himself. The weapon has been spotted in the Ringing Deeps, and Moira wants to claim it. Now, to be clear, she doesn't initially want Fearbreaker. She just doesn't want it to fall into the wrong hands. But soon enough, she feels the connection, realizes that the weapon has indeed got a will of its own, and it sits solid in her hands, like it always belonged there. She is a Bronzebeard, through and through. It doesn't take Fearbreaker to make that clear. All Magni asks is that one day, when she knows it's time, she'll pass it on. Maybe pass it on to Dagran, maybe to her own grandchildren. Imagine if Dagran gets together with a Wildhammer dwarf. That could result in an heir that has ties to all three clans, all on their own. That is super future talk though. Now the War Within, it has a lot of focus on the Urvan and Dwarven storylines. There's quite a bit of history with Xal'atath, Modgud and the Dark Island clan, connected to the Scardian corruption and the summoning of Ragnaros, the enslavement within Blackrock Depths. Plenty of old hooks that are being reeled in for new storytelling. Can't wait to see what they've been cooking, but now you're a bit more up to speed on the history of the Bronzebeards and the legacy of Fearbreaker. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time, see ya!